which is chapters 26 of Leviticus to 27, 3 to 34, and it's translated as "in my statutes." So, to summarize the whole thing, as the name implies, these chapters focus on the manner in which we are to obey God. Chapter 26 mainly deals with delineating the many blessings we will receive if we do obey Him, as well as what will happen if we don't. The Hebrew word is tochacha, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, meaning rebuke or punishment. What the chapter goes on to describe is truly frightening. Chapter 7 addresses values and appraisals, in other words, how to calculate the values of different types of pledges that we make to the Lord, like pledging a person or a possession like a piece of property. It also states that in the year of Jubilee, all property is to revert back to the original owner and all debts are to be forgiven. So chapter 26 really stood out to me. Now this was my Bat Mitzvah chapter 6 years ago. How old am I? 7 years ago. And for some reason, I don't even recall reading chapter 26, even though I know I did. I just don't remember gleaning anything out of it at the time. So a vital message in it is how much He values and yearns for our faithfulness. Verse 3 shows us this in the very first word, if, which is taken to mean, if only you would walk in my statutes, keep my mitzvot, and carry them out, then I will do all these things for you. It's as if the Lord is pleading with us to make an exchange in return for His faithfulness towards us because of the covenant He made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob so long ago. He wants us to be faithful to Him as well. There are few things in this life that we know to be true. We know that God does what He says He will do, and that whatever He says happens always comes to fruition, whether in our lifetime or someone else's. And it's always in His own timing. So we know that the more we buck doing what He instructs us to do and how He instructs us to behave, the more we suffer and the more that we may cause those around us to suffer. That's the beauty of His design. When we obey Him lovingly and joyfully, we find that all His blessings far outweigh any fading pleasures of the world that we can take for ourselves, because they all don't last and we can't take anything with us. There's a lot of discussion nowadays on what freedoms we think that we ought to have in all the various spheres of life, but God defines freedom rather differently. Freedom is in obeying His commandments. Freedom is in taking up responsibility. Freedom is in caring for the poor, the sick, the widow, and the orphan. Freedom has much less to do with our right to control what others do, and much more with our right to exercise autonomy by taking care of each other, particularly when they are in need. Another theme throughout this portion is how our walks with the Lord are like an exodus even now. There are times when we have been in the proverbial, and maybe the literal, wilderness, when we saw no way out, and God suddenly created one. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for God is with me. And that verse, of course, has always stuck with me. In the darkest times, He's still there ready to release us from bondage, just like He did with the slaves in Egypt. In fact, He is just as ready. He is eager to give us true freedom. So in those darkest moments, we need only to cling to the belief and the knowledge that God is faithful and honest. He means what He says. And we need to wait and we need to listen. And there's no shame in doing that. It's not an easy thing, but it's something we have to do. And He will bless us. And He'll bless those around us. And for those of you who know little details of my story, even from just last year, but of my life, I know this to be true very intimately because He answered the prayers I was praying from when I was 4 years old. And they were always like the same 4 prayers: release me from this, give me freedom, and a lot of things. But He's always so faithful, and it's something we can rely on, even though it seems hard to believe, because we don't see that in our day-to-day lives. We don't see that from humans, and we can't be that. But we must always strive, and He's the ultimate example, and He's so merciful. So that really stuck out to me. And then the first 2 verses of what I'll be chanting today are actually Leviticus 26, 1 to 2. And they're from the last 2 verses of last week's portion, because the year that I did it, it was a double portion. So yes.